In the year 2347, humanity had stretched its reach far beyond Earth. Colonies dotted distant planets and moons, connected by a network of advanced spacecraft powered by quantum engines. Yet, despite their technological marvels, humans still clung to their home planet, a fragile blue orb scared by centuries of industrial exploitation, but slowly healing thanks to relentless efforts from scientists like Elara Quinn. Elara was known for her work in ecological restoration. Her team labored tirelessly in remote regions of Earth, planting genetically engineered trees that could purify polluted air and stabilize eroding soil. She often found herself alone under starlit skies, gazing upward at constellations she hoped one day to visit. But tonight, something felt different about the heavens above. Far above Earth's atmosphere, an alien ship hovered silently. Inside, Valen observed the swirling blues and greens of the planet below. To them, Earth wasn't just another rock floating in space. It was alive, pulsing with energy and potential. Their species, called the Luminary, were explorers, not conquerors. They studied civilizations from afar, learning without interfering. But this time, Valen couldn't resist getting closer. Valen's form shimmered faintly as they stepped onto the observation deck of their sleek vessel. Unlike humans, whose bodies were solid and bound by gravity, Valen's translucent frame seemed almost fluid, shifting softly with every movement. Light danced across their surface in intricate patterns, each hue conveying emotion or thought. For now, those colors swirled with curiosity and wonder. Down on Earth, Elara leaned against a makeshift railing outside her research station. The wind carried the scent of damp earth and budding leaves, a sign that spring was finally taking hold. As she watched the horizon, a streak of light caught her eye. It moved too slowly to be a meteor, yet too erratically to be a satellite. Before she could make sense of it, the object disappeared behind a ridge. Back aboard the alien craft, Valen zoomed in on the figure standing near the edge of the forest. Through their advanced sensors, they saw a human woman with unruly dark hair tied back in a loose braid. Her eyes reflected determination, and her posture suggested someone who spent more time outdoors than indoors. Intrigued, Valen began analyzing data streams pouring in from Earth. This human intrigued them. Her actions spoke of care and resilience, qualities rare among other species they'd encountered. Days passed, and Valen continued observing from orbit. They noticed how Elara worked tirelessly alongside her team, using tools that combine biology and technology to heal the land. At night, when everyone else retreated to their tents, Elara stayed outside, sketching stars in a worn notebook. There was a quiet strength about her, a trait Valen admired. Meanwhile, whispers spread among Earth's governing council. Rumors of the Watcher reached high-ranking officials, sparking paranoia. Commander Solus, head of Earth Defense Command, took particular interest. A stern man with sharp features and an unyielding demeanor, Solus believed caution was paramount. He ordered increased surveillance of unusual activity, convinced that any extraterrestrial presence posed a threat. One evening, while monitoring global communications, Solus' team intercepted strange readings emanating from deep space. The signals didn't match anything human-made, confirming his worst fears. "We need answers," he barked during a meeting. "If there's something out there watching us, we can't afford ignorance." Unaware of these developments, Elara ventured deeper into the wilderness the following week. Her mission required collecting samples from a newly discovered grove of ancient trees resistant to pollution. As she trekked through dense foliage, sunlight filtered through the canopy, casting dappled shadows on the ground. Suddenly, a soft hum filled the air, a sound unlike anything she'd ever heard. She froze, heart pounding. Slowly turning her head, she spotted a faint glow hovering between two massive trunks. It pulsed rhythmically, almost invitingly. Against her better judgment, Elara approached. The closer she got, the clearer the shape became, a being unlike anything she could have imagined. Translucent, radiant, and utterly mesmerizing. Valen hadn't intended to reveal themselves so soon, but seeing the human up close stirred something within them. They extended a tendril-like appendage toward her, emitting gentle waves of light, meant to convey peace. Ilara gasped, stumbling backward. Fear mingled with awe as she realized what, or who, stood before her. Before either could react further, a deafening roar shattered the moment. A military drone descended rapidly, its cameras trained on the scene. Valen retracted their limb instantly, vanishing into thin air. Ilara shielded her face from the downdraft, heart racing. When she looked again, the mysterious figure was gone. News of the encounter spread quickly. Local villagers reported sightings of a glowing entity, fueling panic. Within hours, reports reached Commander Solis, who wasted no time mobilizing forces. Whatever, or whoever, was out there would not escape scrutiny. Humanity's future might depend on understanding this visitor, even if fear clouded their judgment. As night fell over the forest, Ilara sat alone once more, staring at the stars. Questions swirled in her mind. Who, or what, had she seen? And why did it feel so familiar? Little did she know her life, and perhaps the fate of two worlds, was about to change forever. The days following Ilara's encounter with the glowing figure were a blur of chaos and confusion. News of the mysterious being spread like wildfire, fueled by rumors and half-truths whispered among villagers. Some claimed it was an angel sent to protect Earth. Others insisted it was a harbinger of doom. Whatever the truth, fear gripped the community, and suspicion turned inward. Ilara tried to piece together what she had seen. She replayed the moment in her mind, the soft hum, the radiant glow, the tendril-like appendage reaching out as if offering connection. But no matter how hard she thought about it, one thing remained clear: the being hadn't meant her harm. Still, doubt lingered at the edges of her certainty. Was she too quick to trust something so alien? Meanwhile, Commander Solis wasted no time mobilizing his forces. Military drones scoured the forest where Ilara had reported the sighting, scanning for any trace of extraterrestrial activity. Satellite imagery revealed strange energy signatures emanating from deep within the wilderness, patterns inconsistent with human technology. Convinced they were dealing with a hostile intruder, Solis ordered ground teams to investigate further. Unbeknownst to them all, Valen watched silently from orbit. They had retreated after their brief encounter with Ilara, unsure whether revealing themselves had been a mistake. Their mission was simple: observe without interference. Yet there was something compelling about humanity, a spark of creativity and resilience that drew Valen closer than intended. Now, faced with the possibility of discovery, they debated whether to leave or stay. Back on Earth, the search intensified. Soldiers combed through dense underbrush, their boots crunching leaves and snapping twigs. Villagers joined the effort, armed with flashlights and makeshift weapons. Fear clouded reason, turning curiosity into hostility. If the alien returned, they vowed not to let it escape again. Valen, however, wasn't hiding. Instead, they chose to intervene when disaster struck unexpectedly. A young boy playing near a rickety wooden bridge lost his footing and tumbled into the rushing river below. His cries for help echoed through the valley, catching the attention of nearby villagers and Valen. Without hesitation, Valen descended to the surface, their shimmering form materializing beside the crumbling structure. Using their fluid-like appendages, they extended a stabilizing force field around the child, lifting him safely onto solid ground. The villagers arrived moments later, gasping in shock at the sight before them. For a brief second, gratitude washed over their faces, but it quickly gave way to fear. "Stay back," one man shouted, brandishing a crude spear. Others followed suit, surrounding Valen with weapons raised. Despite their peaceful intentions, Valen realized they had made a grave error. Revealing themselves openly only confirmed the villagers' worst fears. Ilara heard the commotion and rushed to the scene, heart pounding. When she arrived, she found Valen encircled by angry villagers, their expressions a mix of terror and rage. Her stomach churned as she took in the surreal sight. The glowing alien standing calmly amidst the chaos, emitting soft hues of blue and green that seemed almost apologetic. "What are you doing?" Ilara called out, pushing her way through the crowd. "It saved that boy." Her words fell on deaf ears. The villagers muttered amongst themselves, distrustful of anything not human. One woman pointed accusingly at Valen. "It doesn't belong here," she spat. "It's dangerous." Before Ilara could argue further, Commander Solis and his team arrived, armed with advanced weaponry. Seeing the situation unfold, Solis immediately assumed control. "Stand down," he barked, addressing both the villagers and the alien. "This is now a matter of planetary security." Valen didn't resist as soldiers surrounded them, binding their translucent form with magnetic restraints designed to neutralize unknown threats. Though unable to communicate verbally, their bioluminescent patterns shifted rapidly, conveying distress and confusion. Ilara watched helplessly as they were led away, her chest tightening with guilt and frustration. News of the capture spread globally within hours. Media outlets broadcast footage of the aliens' arrest, sparking heated debates across Earth. Some viewed Valen as a savior who had risked exposure to save a human life. Others saw only a threat, an outsider whose presence challenged humanity's fragile sense of safety. Governments scrambled to respond, convening emergency sessions to decide the next course of action. Commander Solis ensured Valen was transported to a high-security facility hidden deep beneath the Arctic ice. There, scientists and military personnel worked around the clock to study the alien, analyzing every aspect of their physiology and behavior. Despite their best efforts, communication proved nearly impossible. Valen's species communicated through complex light patterns and subtle vibrations, languages incomprehensible to even the most advanced translation algorithms. Ilara, devastated by the turn of events, couldn't shake the feeling that humanity had acted rashly. Determined to understand more, she petitioned to join the investigation team assigned to interrogate Valen. Her request was met with skepticism. Many believed her judgment compromised after witnessing the rescue firsthand. But eventually, her credentials as a leading scientist earned her access. When Ilara first entered the containment chamber, she felt a pang of sadness. Valen floated silently in the center of the room, restrained by glowing fields that pulsed faintly with energy. Their colors dimmed compared to before, suggesting exhaustion or resignation. Ilara approached cautiously, holding up a handheld translator device, modified to interpret light-based signals. "I'm sorry," she said softly, though unsure if Valen could comprehend her words. "I don't know if you can understand me, but I want to help." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, Valen's surface began to ripple with faint hues of yellow and orange, colors associated with curiosity and hope. Ilara's heart leaped. Perhaps understanding wasn't entirely out of reach. Over the next few days, Ilara spent countless hours trying to decode Valen's communication methods. With each breakthrough, fragments of their story emerged. Valen came from a civilization built on harmony and collective wisdom, valuing observation over intervention. Their arrival on Earth wasn't malicious. It stemmed from genuine fascination with humanity's unique capacity for hope and adaptation. Despite these revelations, public opinion remained divided. Anti-alien protests erupted worldwide, demanding swift justice for the perceived threat. Commander Solis, determined to maintain order, announced plans for a tribunal to determine Valen's fate. Rumors circulated that execution via atmospheric exposure, lethal to Valen's biology, was being considered. As the trial date approached, Ilara grew increasingly desperate. She knew Valen posed no danger, yet convincing others felt like an impossible task. Humanity's history was riddled with fear of the unknown, and breaking that cycle required more than logic. It required courage. One evening, as she reviewed data collected during her sessions with Valen, Ilara came across a pattern she hadn't noticed before. It repeated consistently whenever Valen spoke of their homeworld, a sequence resembling coordinates. Could this be a clue? A way to prove Valen's peaceful intentions. With renewed determination, Ilara resolved to act. Whatever happened next, she vowed not to let fear dictate humanity's response. Somewhere between mistrust and understanding lay a path forward, one that might redefine Earth's place in the universe. The containment chamber was cold, sterile, and eerily silent except for the faint hum of machinery. Ilara stood before Valen, her breath fogging slightly in the sub-zero temperature designed to keep the alien immobilized. Despite the restraints and glowing energy fields surrounding Valen, their presence exuded a quiet dignity that struck Ilara deeply. Each time she entered the room, she felt a mix of awe and guilt. An outsider like Valen didn't deserve this treatment. Over the past week, Ilara had made slow but steady progress deciphering Valen's communication patterns. Her handheld translator device now interpreted basic light sequences into fragmented thoughts, revealing snippets of their intentions. Words like observe, learn, and harmony appeared frequently, painting a picture of a species driven by curiosity rather than conquest. Yet, convincing others, especially Commander Solis, remained an uphill battle. Commander Solis visited the facility regularly, his sharp eyes scanning every detail with suspicion. He viewed Valen as a potential weapon or spy, dismissing any notion of peaceful intent. During one such visit, he confronted Ilara directly. "You're getting too close to this thing," Solis warned, his voice low and firm. "It's manipulating you, Quinn. You can't trust it." Ilara clenched her fists, frustration bubbling beneath her calm exterior. "It saved a child's life," she countered. "That doesn't sound like manipulation to me. If anything, we're the ones acting hostile." Solis narrowed his eyes. "And what if saving that boy was just a ploy? A way to gain our trust? We don't know what it really wants." His words echoed in Ilara's mind long after he left. Was she being naive? Could Valen truly harbor hidden motives? She wrestled with doubt, but ultimately chose to trust her instincts. There was something inherently pure about Valen, a sincerity in their actions and expressions that couldn't be faked. One evening, as the rest of the facility wound down for the night, Ilara returned to the containment chamber alone. The dim lighting cast long shadows across the walls, making the room feel even more isolated. Valen floated silently, their shimmering form pulsating softly with hues of lavender and silver, colors Ilara had come to associate with calmness and reflection. "I know you're not here to hurt us," Ilara said quietly, sitting cross-legged on the floor. Though unsure if Valen understood spoken language, she hoped her tone conveyed reassurance. "But I need to find a way to prove that to everyone else." Valen's surface rippled gently, responding with a cascade of golden light. It was subtle but unmistakable, a sign of acknowledgement. Encouraged, Ilara retrieved her translator device and began inputting new data streams, hoping to refine its algorithms further. Hours passed unnoticed as she worked tirelessly. Suddenly, the device emitted a series of soft peeps, followed by text scrolling across the screen. "We see humanity's strength. Your resilience inspires." Ilara gasped, tears welling up in her eyes. For the first time, she received a coherent message from Valen, one that resonated deeply with her belief in humanity's potential. She quickly jotted down notes, determined to share this breakthrough with the scientific team. But sharing wasn't enough. Humanity needed proof beyond words, something tangible to bridge the gap between fear and understanding. As she pondered how to achieve this, another sequence appeared on the screen. "Show them our world. Connection exists." Ilara frowned, confused. What did they mean by our world? And how could she show humanity a connection when most people refuse to look beyond their fears? Determined to uncover answers, Ilara delved deeper into the data logs collected during her sessions with Valen. Late into the night, she discovered recurring patterns resembling celestial coordinates embedded within their communication signals. These weren't random. They pointed toward specific regions of space. Her heart raced as realization dawned. Could these coordinates lead to Valen's homeworld? If humanity saw evidence of another civilization thriving peacefully, perhaps they'd reconsider their stance. But accessing such information required bypassing strict security protocols, a risk that could cost Ilara her career or worse. The next morning, Ilara approached Dr. Marcus Hale, the lead scientist overseeing the project. A kind yet cautious man in his late 50s, Hale respected Ilara's dedication, but shared some of Solis's skepticism. "Dr. Hale," she began hesitantly, "I think I've found something important. Coordinates encoded in Valen's messages. They might point to their home planet." Hale raised an eyebrow, intrigued but wary. "Do you have solid evidence?" Ilara nodded, pulling up the translated data on her tablet. "Look at this pattern. It's consistent across multiple transmissions. I believe it's intentional." Hale studied the information carefully, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. After a moment, he sighed. "This could change everything, or escalate tensions further. Have you considered the risks?" "I have," Ilara admitted. "But isn't it worth trying? If we ignore this chance, aren't we letting fear dictate our future?" Hale hesitated, then gave a reluctant nod. "All right, let's present this to the council. But tread carefully, Ilara. Not everyone will welcome your findings." When Ilara presented her discovery to the tribunal, reactions were mixed. Some members expressed cautious optimism, intrigued by the possibility of interstellar diplomacy. Others, led by Commander Solis, dismissed the idea outright. "These so-called coordinates could be a trap," Solis argued, slamming his fist on the table. "For all we know, this alien is luring us into a false sense of security." Ilara stood her ground, addressing the panel with unwavering conviction. "Even if there's a risk, isn't it better than executing an innocent being based on assumptions? By exploring these coordinates, we might learn truths that unite us instead of dividing us." Her words sparked heated debates among the council members. While no immediate decision was reached, cracks began forming in the wall of hostility. Public opinion also shifted slightly, thanks to media coverage highlighting Valen's rescue of the child and Ilara's efforts to communicate. Back in the containment chamber, Ilara shared the tribunal's response with Valen. Their colors flickered with gratitude, shifting to vibrant shades of turquoise and gold. "We're working on it," she assured them. "But patience is key. Humans, we're complicated." Valen responded with a gentle pulse of amber light, a gesture Ilara interpreted as understanding. For the first time since their capture, hope seemed within reach. As days turned into weeks, Ilara continued bridging the gap between two worlds. Slowly but surely, she helped humanity glimpse the beauty of cooperation over conflict. Yet, looming trials and public unrest reminded her that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. Still, as she gazed at Valen's radiant form, she felt a quiet determination ignite within her. Together, they would forge a path forward, not just for themselves, but for all sentient beings who dared to dream of unity amidst diversity. The tribunal chamber buzzed with tension as representatives from Earth's governing council gathered to decide Valen's fate. The room was a stark contrast to the cold isolation of the containment chamber, brightly lit, filled with polished wooden tables and stern-faced officials. Cameras lined the walls, broadcasting every word to billions worldwide. This wasn't just a trial. It was a spectacle, a moment that would shape humanity's future. Ilara sat at the edge of the proceedings, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. She hadn't slept much since presenting the coordinates linked to Valen's homeworld. While some council members seemed intrigued by the possibility of peaceful contact, others remained entrenched in fear. Commander Solis stood at the forefront of this opposition, his rigid stance unyielding. "We cannot afford to gamble with our safety," Solis declared, addressing the tribunal. His voice carried authority, each syllable dripping with conviction. "This alien has already infiltrated our airspace and interacted directly with civilians. Its intentions are unclear, and its presence poses an unacceptable risk." Murmurs rippled through the audience, reflecting the divided sentiments across the globe. Protesters outside chanted slogans, their voices muffled but persistent, a reminder of how polarizing this issue had become. For every person advocating for understanding, there were dozens demanding immediate action against the unknown. Valen, meanwhile, remained silent within their energy field in the center of the chamber. Their bioluminescent patterns shifted constantly, soft blues and greens signaling calmness, interspersed with flashes of amber denoting concern. Ilara watched them closely, her heart aching at the unfairness of it all. How could anyone see malice in such a being? When it was finally her turn to speak, Ilara rose slowly, feeling the weight of countless eyes upon her. Her palms were sweaty, but she forced herself to stand tall. This was her chance, not just to defend Valen, but to remind humanity of what it meant to hope. Commander Solis is right about one thing, she began, surprising many in the room. We can't ignore risks when it comes to protecting our planet, but we also can't let fear blind us to opportunities for growth and connection. She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. Valen didn't come here to harm us. They came to learn, to observe. And yes, they revealed themselves, but only because they acted out of compassion, saving a child's life. Isn't that something worth celebrating? Isn't that proof that we're not so different after all? A ripple of murmurs swept through the crowd. Some nodded in agreement, while others frowned skeptically. Ilara pressed on, knowing she had to strike a chord deep enough to sway opinions. I'd spent weeks communicating with Valen, she continued. Through light patterns and vibrations, I've glimpsed their world, a civilization built on harmony and collective wisdom. They admire humanity's resilience, our capacity to adapt and overcome adversity. Doesn't that deserve a chance? Don't we owe it to ourselves, and to them, to explore this connection further? Her plea hung in the air, fragile yet powerful. For a moment, silence reigned. Then Commander Solis stepped forward, his expression hardening. Dr. Quinn speaks passionately, but passion alone isn't evidence, he countered. What if this is all a ruse? What if these coordinates lead to destruction instead of peace? We simply cannot take that risk. The room erupted into heated debate once more. Council members argued back and forth, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of conflicting beliefs. Ilara felt her resolve wavering under the pressure. Was she fighting a losing battle? Would humanity choose fear over hope? As the discussion dragged on, a decision loomed closer. The tribunal announced they would reconvene briefly before delivering their verdict. Everyone filed out of the chamber, leaving Ilara alone with Valen. They don't understand, she whispered, tears threatening to spill. I'm trying, but I don't know if it's enough. Valen's colors shifted to soothing lavender, pulsating gently as if offering comfort. Though unable to speak in human terms, their message was clear. Gratitude for Ilara's efforts, regardless of the outcome. Hours later, the tribunal resumed. The atmosphere was heavier than before, charged with anticipation. As the presiding judge delivered the verdict, Ilara held her breath. After careful deliberation, we have reached a decision, the judge announced, his tone grave. In light of insufficient evidence proving the aliens' peaceful intent, and considering the potential threat posed to Earth's security, we hereby sentence the entity known as Valen to execution via atmospheric exposure. Gasps echoed throughout the chamber. Protesters outside roared louder, their chants growing angrier. Ilara felt the ground beneath her feet crumble. No matter how hard she'd fought, humanity had chosen fear. But then something inside her snapped. She couldn't let this happen, not without a fight. Before anyone could react, Ilara sprang into action. Pulling a small laser tool from her pocket, a device used for cutting vegetation during fieldwork, she dashed toward Valen. The guards shouted, reaching for their weapons, but she was faster. With a single, decisive motion, she severed the magnetic restraints binding Valen. "What are you doing?" Commander Solis bellowed, lunging forward. Ilara ignored him, focusing solely on Valen. "You saved someone's life. she said firmly, meeting their glowing gaze. "Now it's my turn to save yours." Valen hesitated, their colors flickering uncertainly. Freedom lay within reach, yet they seemed reluctant to abandon Ilara. She urged them onward with a determined nod. "Go. Show everyone who you really are." Without another moment's delay, Valen activated their personal shield, shimmering into invisibility as they floated upward, breaking free of the chamber entirely. Chaos erupted around Ilara, but she stood firm, bracing herself for whatever came next. Minutes later, global broadcasts captured the dramatic escape, showing Ilara standing defiant amidst stunned officials. Her actions sparked outrage among some, but for others, they ignited a spark of inspiration. Across social media platforms, debates raged anew. Who was truly the enemy here? Had humanity acted too hastily in condemning an innocent being? Commander Solus confronted Ilara privately, his face flushed with anger. "Do you realize what you've done?" he demanded. "You've betrayed your own species." "No," Ilara replied evenly, her voice steady despite the turmoil swirling inside her. "I've reminded us of who we're supposed to be. Humanity isn't defined by fear. It's defined by courage, by hope." Her words resonated far beyond the confines of the tribunal chamber. In cities and villages worldwide, people began questioning whether fear should dictate their response to the unknown. While authorities branded Ilara a fugitive, many hailed her as a hero, a symbol of resistance against prejudice and mistrust. That night, Ilara found herself hiding in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. Exhaustion weighed heavily on her shoulders, but she refused to give in. Outside, stars twinkled faintly against the dark sky, reminding her of the vast universe waiting to be explored. Suddenly, a soft glow illuminated the corner of the room. Valen materialized before her, their colors shifting with gratitude and admiration. "You shouldn't have come back," Ilara whispered, though relief flooded her features. "They'll be looking for both of us now." Valen responded with a cascade of golden light, accompanied by a familiar pattern Ilara recognized instantly: trust. Together, they stepped out into the night, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Whatever happened next, Ilara knew one thing for certain. They weren't running away. They were running toward a brighter future, one where understanding triumphed over fear. The night was thick with tension as Ilara and Valen navigated the shadowy outskirts of civilization. Every rustle of leaves, every distant hum of an aircraft overhead, sent shivers down Ilara's spine. She knew they couldn't stay in one place for long, not with Commander Solus and his forces hunting them relentlessly. Yet, despite the danger, she felt a strange sense of purpose guiding her steps. For the first time in years, she wasn't just working to heal Earth's wounds. She was fighting for something greater, a chance to unite two worlds. Valen moved silently beside her, their translucent form blending seamlessly with the darkness. Though unable to speak human languages aloud, their bioluminescent patterns communicated volumes. Each pulse of light carried meaning, gratitude, concern, even moments of quiet humor that brought fleeting smiles to Ilara's face. Despite their differences, a bond had formed between them, forged in shared adversity and mutual respect. As dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, they reached the edge of a dense forest. Hidden within its depths lay ancient ruins rumored to hold secrets of Earth's forgotten past. Ilara had studied these legends during her research on ecological restoration, but she'd never dared venture this far into the wilderness. Now, driven by necessity and curiosity, she led the way, her boots crunching softly against fallen leaves. Inside the ruins, time seemed to stand still. Crumbling stone walls rose like jagged teeth around them, covered in moss and ivy. Strange symbols etched into the rock glowed faintly under the morning light, pulsating as if alive. Ilara traced her fingers along the carvings, feeling a strange warmth emanating from them. "What is this place?" she murmured, more to herself than to Valen. Valen approached cautiously, their colors shifting to deep indigo, a sign of intense focus. They extended a tendril-like appendage toward the glowing symbols, causing them to flare brighter. A low hum filled the air, resonating through the chamber like a forgotten melody. Ilara watched in awe as images began to project onto the walls. Scenes of star-filled skies, alien landscapes, and beings unlike anything she'd ever imagined. It was as though the ruins were telling a story, one that spanned millennia and connected countless civilizations. This can't be real, Ilara whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. These aren't just Earth's ancestors. They're part of something bigger. Valen's patterns shifted again, this time to a radiant gold. Through their translator device, fragmented messages appeared. Shared origin. All life interconnected. Ilara's heart raced as realization dawned. The ruins weren't just remnants of Earth's history. They were evidence of a universal truth. Long ago, all intelligent life had branched off from a common source, scattered across the cosmos to evolve independently. Humanity wasn't alone. It was part of a vast family tree stretching beyond imagination. For hours, Ilara and Valen explored the ruins, uncovering artifacts that told stories of unity and cooperation among ancient civilizations. One artifact stood out, a crystalline orb resting atop a pedestal at the center of the chamber. When Ilara touched it, visions flooded her mind. Planets thriving in harmony, species sharing knowledge and resources, and a collective effort to preserve the universe's delicate balance. "It's beautiful," she breathed, clutching the orb tightly. "If people could see this, if they understood, we wouldn't have to live in fear anymore." Valen's colors pulsed in agreement, conveying a sense of urgency. They too realized the importance of sharing this discovery with humanity. But how? With military forces closing in and public opinion divided, convincing others would require more than evidence. It would require trust. Back outside the ruins, the sound of approaching vehicles shattered the peaceful silence. Ilara and Valen exchanged a glance, knowing their time was running out. Together, they devised a plan. Using equipment salvaged from Ilara's fieldwork kit, they rigged a makeshift transmitter capable of broadcasting the orb's data globally. "Are you sure about this?" Ilara asked, her voice trembling. "Once we do this, there's no turning back." Valen responded with a cascade of soft green light, a gesture of reassurance. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. Activating the transmitter, they sent the orb's contents streaming into the world. Within minutes, billions of screens lit up with images of interconnected galaxies, ancient alliances, and shared origins. Social media platforms exploded with reactions ranging from disbelief to wonder. News outlets scrambled to interpret the data, while scientists debated its implications. Commander Solis, watching the broadcast from his command center, clenched his fists in frustration. "This changes nothing," he barked at his team. "It's propaganda designed to manipulate us." But not everyone shared his skepticism. Across the globe, voices of reason began to rise above the noise. Leaders who once dismissed Valen as a threat now questioned whether humanity had misjudged the situation. Could coexistence truly be possible? As the days passed, Ilara and Valen remained on the run, evading capture while continuing to spread their message. They traveled from village to city, meeting those willing to listen and sharing fragments of the orb's wisdom. Slowly but surely, pockets of hope began to emerge, communities banding together to advocate for peace and understanding. One evening, hiding in a remote mountain cave, Ilara turned to Valen. "Do you think it's enough?" she asked. "Will they believe us?" Valen's colors shifted to a calming blue, followed by a gentle pulse of amber. Their message came through clearly. Belief takes time, but seeds planted in hope grow strong roots. Their journey took a dramatic turn when Commander Solis launched a final assault. Determined to silence Ilara and recapture Valen, he mobilized an elite squad equipped with advanced weaponry. Cornering them atop a crumbling temple, Solis aimed his weapon directly at Valen. "You've caused enough chaos," he growled. "It ends here." Ilara stepped forward, shielding Valen with her body. "No, it doesn't," she said firmly. "You can try to destroy us, but you can't erase the truth. People are waking up. They're seeing what's possible." Solus hesitated, torn between duty and doubt. Before he could act, Valen activated a beacon hidden within their form, a signal meant to summon reinforcements from their homeworld. Moments later, a massive glowing vessel descended from the sky, hovering protectively above the temple. Commander Solus lowered his weapon, stunned into silence. The sheer scale of the ship dwarfed anything humanity had ever seen, radiating power and serenity simultaneously. From its surface, beams of light extended downward, forming a protective barrier around Ilara and Valen. A holographic figure materialized before Solus and his team, an ambassador from Valen's species. Its voice resonated deeply, carrying both authority and compassion. "We come in peace," the ambassador declared. "Our intention has always been to observe, learn, and connect. Your actions today will determine the path forward for both our peoples." With the arrival of Valen's reinforcements, tensions eased slightly. Negotiations began, opening channels for dialogue between humans and the Luminary. While mistrust lingered, the seeds of cooperation had been sown. Ilara stood beside Valen, gazing up at the towering ship. Tears streamed down her face, not of sadness, but of joy. Together, they had bridged two worlds, proving that even the most unlikely bonds could transform fear into hope. And somewhere amidst the stars, a new chapter was beginning. One where unity triumphed over division, paving the way for a brighter future for all sentient beings. The air was thick with anticipation as the massive alien vessel hovered above the crumbling temple, casting a soft glow over the surrounding landscape. Its presence was both awe-inspiring and humbling, a testament to the vastness of the universe and humanity's small yet significant place within it. For Ilara, standing beside Valen beneath the protective barrier of light, the moment felt surreal. She had spent weeks running from fear and hatred, but now hope seemed tangible, almost within reach. Commander Solus stood frozen, his weapon lowered but his expression unreadable. Behind him, his elite squad shifted uneasily, unsure how to respond to the towering ship that dwarfed their technology. The holographic ambassador floated serenely before them, its translucent form shimmering with colors that conveyed calmness and resolve. "We do not seek conflict," the ambassador continued, its voice resonating like a deep melodic hum. "We have observed your species for many cycles, marveling at your resilience and creativity. However, we cannot ignore the hostility you have shown toward one of our own." Ilara glanced at Valen, whose bioluminescent patterns flickered softly in response to the ambassador's words. Though they couldn't speak directly to the humans, their emotions were clear: gratitude for the ambassador's support, mixed with concern for what might happen next. Commander Solus straightened, regaining some of his composure. "You entered our airspace without permission," he countered, his tone clipped but less aggressive than before. "Your actions violated our sovereignty. How can we trust you?" The ambassador tilted its head slightly, as if considering the question. Then, with a wave of its luminous hand, images began to project into the air around them. Scenes of Earth's history unfolded, ancient civilizations building pyramids, inventing tools, and exploring new frontiers. Interspersed were glimpses of other planets, each thriving under the care of intelligent beings who had learned to coexist peacefully. "These are not isolated stories," the ambassador explained. "They are threads in a tapestry woven across galaxies. Your species is part of this greater whole. You share an origin with all sentient life, a truth hidden in the ruins you recently uncovered." Ilara's heart swelled with pride and determination. She stepped forward, addressing the ambassador and Commander Solus alike. "This is proof," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "Proof that we're stronger together than apart. Fear has blinded us, but knowledge can heal that blindness. We don't need weapons or walls. We need understanding." Her words echoed through the tense silence, reaching not just those present, but also the millions watching the live broadcast. Social media erupted with reactions ranging from skepticism to admiration. Some accused Ilara of treason, while others hailed her as a visionary. The divide between fear and hope remained stark, but cracks were forming in humanity's collective resistance. Back in cities and towns worldwide, people gathered around screens to witness the unfolding drama. In one bustling metropolis, a group of protesters held signs reading "Fear no more" and "Unity through understanding." Nearby, counter-protesters shouted slogans demanding immediate action against the aliens. Clashes broke out sporadically, underscoring the fragility of peace. In quieter corners of the world, however, communities came together in solidarity. Villagers shared meals, discussing the implications of the ambassador's message. Scientists collaborated across borders, analyzing data transmitted by the Orcs Ilara and Valen had discovered. Even skeptics found themselves questioning long-held beliefs about humanity's isolation in the cosmos. Meanwhile, aboard the alien vessel, preparations were underway for further engagement. The ambassador turned to Valen, its colors shifting to convey gratitude and respect. "You have done well," it said. "Your courage has opened doors that may lead to lasting unity." Valen responded with a cascade of vibrant hues, expressing humility and determination. They knew the road ahead would be challenging, but they were ready to walk it alongside Ilara. As night fell, negotiations continued atop the temple. Lights from the alien ship illuminated the area, creating an ethereal atmosphere. Representatives from Earth's governing council joined the discussion via holographic links, their faces reflecting a mix of curiosity and caution. Each side presented arguments, probing for weaknesses, but ultimately seeking common ground. Ilara played a crucial role, translating Valen's light-based communication and bridging gaps in understanding. Her passion and insight earned her begrudging respect, even from Commander Solis, who privately admitted to colleagues that her persistence was admirable, if maddening. By dawn, a tentative agreement emerged. The luminary would withdraw temporarily, giving humanity time to process the revelations and decide on future interactions. In exchange, Earth pledged to cease hostilities and establish a committee dedicated to fostering interstellar diplomacy. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was a start. When the meeting concluded, Ilara and Valen stood alone on the temple steps, gazing up at the stars. The alien ship began ascending slowly, its glow fading into the horizon. Valen turned to Ilara, their colors pulsing gently. "A silent thank you. You saved me twice," Ilara said, smiling through tears. "Once when you cut the rope, and again when you showed me there's more to the universe than fear." Valen extended a tendril-like appendage, brushing it lightly against her hand. A warm sensation spread through her, filling her with renewed purpose. Together, they had ignited a spark of change, proving that cooperation could overcome even the deepest divides. Days later, Ilara returned to her research station, now transformed into a hub for interspecies dialogue. Scientists, diplomats, and curious citizens flocked to learn more about the luminary and their vision of harmony. Despite lingering tensions, progress was undeniable. Humanity was beginning to see itself not as rulers of Earth, but as stewards of a shared destiny. One evening, as Ilara worked late into the night, a faint glow appeared outside her window. She rushed outside to find Valen waiting, accompanied by another member of their species. Their arrival signaled the next step in their journey, a partnership built on trust and mutual respect. Together, they stepped into the unknown, guided by the belief that hope could conquer fear. And somewhere among the stars, countless eyes watched, waiting to see what this unlikely alliance might achieve. The months following the historic encounter between humanity and the luminary marked a turning point in Earth's history. What had begun as fear and hostility evolved into cautious optimism, fueled by the shared realization that all intelligent life stemmed from a common origin. The ruins Ilara and Valen had uncovered served as a constant reminder of this truth, a beacon guiding humanity toward unity rather than division. Ilara became a symbol of hope, her name synonymous with courage and perseverance. She traveled across the globe, speaking at conferences, schools, and community centers, sharing the story of her journey with Valen. Her message was simple yet profound. We are not alone, and that is cause for celebration, not fear. Valen, meanwhile, returned temporarily to their homeworld, carrying with them fragments of human culture, music, art, and stories of resilience. These artifacts sparked fascination among the luminary, who marveled at humanity's ability to find beauty even in chaos. In return, they sent emissaries to Earth, eager to learn more about this spirited species. One crisp autumn morning, Ilara stood on a hill overlooking her research station, now expanded into an international hub for interspecies collaboration. Scientists from every corner of the world worked side by side with luminary representatives, studying ways to heal Earth's ecosystems while exploring possibilities for interstellar cooperation. The once blighted landscape around the station had transformed into lush greenery, thanks to combined efforts using both human ingenuity and alien technology. Beside her, Commander Solis approached hesitantly. Over time, his rigid stance had softened, replaced by a grudging respect for Ilara's vision. Though he still harbored doubts, he couldn't deny the progress unfolding before his eyes. "You were right," he admitted, his voice gruff but sincere. "I let fear cloud my judgment. Maybe there's room for trust after all." Ilara smiled warmly, extending a hand. "It's never too late to change, Commander. Humanity's strength lies in our ability to adapt, not just to survive, but to thrive." Solis nodded, shaking her hand firmly before walking away, leaving Ilara alone with her thoughts. She gazed up at the sky, where streaks of light signaled incoming luminary vessels bringing supplies and knowledge to aid Earth's recovery. Each visit strengthened the bond between two worlds, proving that differences could be bridges instead of barriers. One evening, under a canopy of stars, Ilara welcomed Valen back to Earth. Their arrival was met with cheers from gathered crowds, humans and aliens alike celebrating the growing partnership. Valen's colors shimmered brightly, conveying joy and gratitude. Together, they unveiled a gift left behind by the luminary, a crystalline artifact capable of translating emotions across species.